Good morning. Welcome to St. County Commissioner meeting, Thursday, June 2nd, 2022, 10 a.m. regular board session. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Prayer?
Okay, please join me in a moment of prayer here. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us today and assist us in making the decisions that are in the best interest of those we represent. We know you're always here. We ask you to lead us where you need us. Especially, please watch over those people protecting our freedoms and their families. We ask all this through your Son. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Here.
Commissioner Shuff?
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
I will accept the motion to approve the digital audio recording, video recording of our previous board session, May 26, 2022.
So moved. And I will second.
Commissioner Shuff, Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Commissioner Shuff?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes. Okay, so if it's okay with you, Brian, we'll hold on ODOT, give everybody a few more minutes. And Lou, if you're ready to go, we'll go with Lou Hurst from.
So we're asking to go to bid on a project at the Opportunity Center. So we've struggled over the years with parking, not having enough parking spots, and specifically with the number of one-on-one aides now required in the school. Our staffing, people had to park in the grass, which we don't want. And then also during events that we hold, we haven't had enough parking and close parking for our aging population. So we've got a project that we're proposing to ask for approval to go to bid on that really has five main points. One is the existing parking lot is no longer can be layered on, it's got to be taken off and resurfaced. So it's to mill the current surface for the existing parking lot. In your diagram and towards the back corner of the building is an old loading dock we don't use very much anymore, and the concrete is crumbling. It's to the point where it needs to be repaired or replaced, so we're going to have them fill it in as part of the proposal, because we no longer need the loading dock. And then towards the front of the building, the sidewalks are not deep enough. When the buses unload with the lifts, they come out like 4 feet. We've extended the concrete already an additional 4 feet, but 4 feet isn't enough to turn the wheelchairs off, so they're turning into the grass and getting stuck. So we're gonna replace concrete that's cracked in the front that needs to be replaced, and then extend the concrete out so there's enough space to take the chairs off the lift and turn them. And then it would add an additional 34 parking spots. The estimated cost is $392,000. We've budgeted for it, and we're prepared to pay the price. Unfortunately, construction, as you well know, is going through the roof, so hopefully we can get some good bids.
Yeah, I got no problem with you maintaining things and making sure things are as they should be. The only question I have is, the building that we now own, is there any work that needs to be done there while these guys are here?
Nope, the only thing we needed fixed was the HVAC.
Okay, I didn't know if there's any approaches or any of the loading docks or anything that needed any help there.
I don't think so. I think
I haven't walked over there. I think
I
it's
can
good
ask
shape. I
John.
know the
John.
asphalt
Yeah,
out
well,
is
I'm just
good
thinking
shape.
while they're here, if there is anything, that maybe they could take a look.
So I like this, it's perfect parking. On the backside where the buses are, that's another project at a later date.
Yeah, we
Okay, that's maybe.
We
what
ended
Commissioner
up,
Kirschner-
we were going to fence in the area to protect it a little more, and then we're holding off because we've spoken with SCAT about the possibility
Going up there.
of a grant that she might be able to get to build a eco-friendly building that would be, house the buses.
So the buses will be under roof.
So they'd be under roof and there'd be
Yeah.
a bus wash in the middle, and she thinks the grant would cover all of it, I mean, pretty much all be paid for, so I'd love to partner with that, instead of us building a parking lot and then having to I'd rather go with that option, even if we had to pay match on the grant, it would be a better opportunity for our folks, because that way in winter, people wouldn't have to clean off the buses and the sun fade paint over the years on the bus sitting there outside, when they're not being used. It'd be nice to have them inside, but Mary's working on that grant now, and I think she has spoken a little bit about it. So we're holding off to see if that's a possibility.
She's amazing.
So what are your bidding requirements, Lou? What are your bidding requirements for a project like this?
Same as ours.
Same as ours, 3 bids or
Well,
offer it?
We have to advertise, yep, and we have that resolution
Darrington reviews them,
after that,
but
yeah.
there's no engineer's estimate or anything on this?
Should be,
Oh, there is.
once the architect gets all their stuff done.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's what the 392,000
Yeah.
is.
He has worked with
This hasn't
the
been
county
bid yet?
engineer.
No.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think there was some modifications the engineer had suggested,
Okay.
and so I think they've got it all. So we have all that.
So what do we do here?
We're just saying go forward.
Well, we need to
We
set
need a
time and
motion.
date for the bid opening.
All right.
Okay,
So-
you wanna do that?
We can do that now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have
No.
a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Opportunity Parking Lot Project. This is scheduled for Thursday, June 23rd, at 10 a.m. here at the Commissioner's office.
I will move for approval.
Second.
Works for you, Lou?
Yep.
Okay, roll call?
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradisi?
Yes. Anything else? You good?
But
Thank
just
you.
update on the park.
Sure.
Oh,
Next week, the equipment is coming to be installed. The site is ready. Thanks to the work of leadership Seneca County and City of Bettsville, took the old equipment and utilized it at their park. And the new equipment will be here next week, so we're excited about that. It'll take about 2 weeks to 3 weeks to install, and then they'll put the board surfaces in. So hopefully I'm hoping by the 1st of July, but definitely by the mid-July, it'll be open, and really some, like a family picnic, and invite everybody out so people could see the park. But I know the kids, and they're just very excited about the opportunity.
Great. Anything else? Good?
Good.
Okay, thanks. So I see our friends from ODOT came in, and Pat, the boss, is here. Yeah, I remember you from last year. And you gave yourself away with the tie on, so. So you have the floor if you'd like to come up and introduce your team with us, it'd be great. And thanks for your coming for your annual report.
Yeah. I think there's okay, we got it. All right. So there was no
Stacy's-
issues pulling or downloading or,
like
you got to put in your credentials and sign off your firstborn child, I
Right,
think.
yeah. Yeah.
Can
to
you
get that.
introduce your,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
So again, thanks for having us
Thanks.
again this year. It's always a pleasure coming out to Seneca County. So who I have with me is, actually, I'll just have them introduce themselves. I think the first one requires probably zero introduction, but go ahead, Brian.
Brian Spiro, Transportation Manager out at the Seneca County Garage.
Mark Bressler, Highway Management Administrator.
I'm Josh Paradise. I'm a design engineer, but I'm shadowing Mark today.
Mark, you were here last year?
Yep.
Yep, okay, good.
I'm Kelsey Hoagland in our Public Information Office.
So Kelsey, you'll see on TV a lot, or if we're having public releases, they don't let me talk, so they.
You know Jimmy then back here, he's your equivalent.
I'm sure we've emailed.
Yep, definitely,
Yeah,
exactly.
good.
Do you want the lights switched? It'd be easier to put the lights over that. Does that work better for you, Tyler?
We put these screens in for Mr. Brideball in the back.
Okay.
He couldn't see, and we requested him, so.
Okay.
we had to put
You
in.
can see fine there, right? So.
Sometimes there's a glare on the screen, so.
Again, thanks for, and we're actually, Brian French is our area engineer, so he kind of oversees our construction out east. He'll be coming in a matter of a few minutes, so if you see somebody walk in, that'll be him, so he'll cover his part. Again, it's a pleasure being out here, so I'm gonna cover a number of things. I'm gonna really highlight kind of impacts of the department or the pandemic, but also gonna cover what's important to ODOT right now, what's going on at a high level, and then we'll kind of get more granular as far as going into Seneca County. So one of the things we've been asked a lot about is traffic volume. So how has traffic volumes been impacted by the pandemic? And to be honest with you, they've been significantly impacted because of the pandemic, both positively and negatively, which is interesting. So when you look at, I know it's very, very small, so I apologize for that. You might need a 100-inch TV or 200-inch TV or something to see all this.
I can see it pretty well.
You can, yeah, he's got the best seat in the house here, so. But anyway, so when you look at this, you're looking at January of 2020, and then we're going into March, April, May, that's when the stay-at-home orders were in place. And then you can kind of, what's really interesting, you see June of 2020, and what's the most interesting there, and let me characterize, I guess, each line. The top line is trucks. The middle line, and I'm colorblind, so I'm not going to guess the colors, but the middle line is aggregate of vehicles. The bottom line's cars. So when we hit June of 2020, we're already back to the same truck traffic we were in 2019. So this is all comparable to 2019. As we move forward, you can see the car traffic's still down. And actually, we're still down right now. We're down, we're at 7, 8, 9%, 10%. But truck traffic actually increases and stays higher, even to today. So even recently, the last 2 months on here, we're at 13 and 14% higher truck traffic than we were at that time in 2019. So why is that interesting? Well, it's interesting for a few reasons. One, we've all heard these supply chain issues. Some of the issues is getting truck drivers. I think we've all heard of that, right? And the supply of truck drivers is also going down, partially because there's some new federal requirements with new truck drivers that they have to go through a lot more training. But the demand has really increased significantly. So when we're having 13, 14% more trucks on the road, somebody's driving those trucks. So that's causing some issues, obviously, with the supply chain. It also causes issues with our revenue, as well as, I know Mark's not here, but Mark Zimmerman's revenue. So a big portion of Mark Zimmerman's revenue is gas tax. Ours is also the gas tax, state gas tax. So overall, we still are seeing a decline in gas tax revenue, because even though truck traffic's up, typically diesel only makes up 25% of the gas tax of revenue that we get. So that's why I like to show that. A lot of people ask, how's the traffic, how's things going even to today, and cars are down, trucks are up. So trucks are up fairly large. So we can go to the next slide. Pandemic shortfall. So this is what was expected pre-COVID forecasts, and then post-COVID what we actually received, and then how we forecasted. So again, we're down. This is actually just to ODOT. Some slides actually show gas tax overall, even it goes to counties and municipalities. But so overall, we're still down, and a lot of that's because of the unleaded revenue, obviously not the diesel revenue. Let's go to the next slide. Another big question is House Bill 62. The General Assembly, not the governor, but the General Assembly actually put in House Bill 62 to charge vehicle registrations on EVs and hybrid vehicles. Partially because if you've got an electric vehicle, you're not paying for the roads, prior to this charge. So I think it's $200 on electric, $100 on hybrid. So this chart kind of shows, okay, what are we looking at? What the locals get? What does ODOT get? And total EV, we're looking at $8 million. It's not a lot overall. Hybrids 18 million, and total of both is 26 million. That's through August of 21. That'll obviously grow. So as the proliferation of electric vehicles continues, that's going to continue as well. So it's some good foresight on behalf of the General Assembly to put that in there so that people are paying their fair share. Okay, infrastructure law, that's another question. So I won't go into too much detail here unless there's questions, but that's the additional funding going to ODOT. Some of it's carved out. So you see new bridge revenue. A lot of that bridge revenue actually has to go to counties. So counties, we're pumping a lot more money into county bridges. Actually, we haven't pumped a whole lot before. I mean, we've had periods, but there will be more money going to counties, municipal bridges that they're responsible for, and that's part of that carve out. And ODOT has even put more money in beyond what the feds require. So you'll be seeing some more opportunities there.
Pat, can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
Last slide reminded me something. Electric cars, when they go in and plug in, they're not paying anything. They're plugging in here, and so how would the electric cars affect gas tax revenue? I mean, obviously it will have a negative impact.
Yeah.
But as a percentage of electric, is there a tax that's going to be generated on electric vehicles?
Yeah, that's a good question, Commissioner. Actually, if you go back to the previous slide, so So what they did is, and some people,
Fee, more like a fee maybe?
it's added to your motor vehicle registration. So like if you go to the BMV and you renew your license or renew your registration on your license, you're gonna pay a fee. Some of that goes to the counties and townships. Zero of it goes to the state,
Yeah.
or to ODOT, I should say. With this fee, it's broke down just like the gas tax is, so 55-45, 45% goes to the locals, 55% goes to the state. So when you're looking at this, it's the $200 registration fee. So I've heard it, I hear it from people that have electric vehicles, they're like, that's not fair. Well, how they came to this was the average miles per gallon vehicle gets is 26 miles per gallon. The average mileage is 13,500. I think it ends up equaling like $220 or something like that a year. So they said $200. So they are paying. Are they now? If you're the person that just drives in town and you just drive to church and you got an electric vehicle, yeah, you're probably paying too much. But if you're the person that's a salesman that's driving 35,000 miles a year, you're probably not paying enough, right? So really the answer long-term is probably a vehicles miles driven tax, which essentially the gas tax in many ways was that 20, 30 years ago before we started seeing more fuel efficient vehicles. You know, the heavier the vehicle, more damage on the road, more you're gonna pay, right? We're not in that territory anymore. We're losing that fairness of the gas tax. And so this is a flat fee. It's good that they did it when they did a few years ago, because if they didn't, you know, the more vehicles out there, it's going to be a lot harder to actually implement that fee. So it's a big deal. Like you look at the numbers, it's not that much now, but again, like that's just going to grow. So you're right. Like they do pay now. They didn't before, and in the future, you know, as long as this stays, they'll pay. But really, what they should go to is probably a vehicle mile driven tax. It's how do you do that though? Like, you know, do you use GPS? Well, then you got the government. You know, everybody's afraid the government's watching them, or I don't know. How you
So
do it.
to his point, it's instead of a gas tax, it's like a road tax.
It's a flat fee.
It's
Yeah,
a flat fee.
Flat
tax.
fee.
You gotta
Yeah.
take more gas out. That's a good point. 'Cause,
Mhm.
So like some of these
Somebody
chargers over at, I think, Lot 7,
Mhm.
city puts some in and they actually charge. Does that money go back to the cities?
Yeah, that's
Because
a good
ours,
que-
we don't charge. It's a very slow charger.
Yes, and they're getting more rapid. Actually, if you go to the next slide, I'll talk about that too.
Right.
And I don't people's feelings on this is a little different, but when you actually go one slide before.
One side, okay.
Yep.
Oops.
There, perfect. So some of that money, when you see the amount of extra money going to ODOT, 40 million of it each year is actually National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Formula Program. And that is actually, and again, politically, I don't know how you feel about it, but that is actually to put vehicle charging stations out there. And they're essentially giving it to the states and saying, okay, Ohio, here's $40 million each year. You need to figure out how to use it for putting more charging stations out there. Now, the state of Ohio's thought process is, okay, we'll do a PPP. Essentially, we'll help find property. Somebody else will be putting it in. Somebody else will be maintaining it, and they will be charging it. But obviously, it's subsidized, and that was part of the bill, the bipartisan infrastructure law. So getting back to the infrastructure, as far as electric vehicle infrastructure, that's going to push some of that out more, and it will be charged, but it's also subsidized too. Which is also a political, controversy there too. So, but when you get the money, it either goes here or it goes to California, or another state.
Right.
So that's when you look at all that money, you got the bridge formula, bridge revenue, but you also got like a couple other carve-outs within that money that's dedicated specifically for this. And that one's probably the most obvious, that it's like that's not something we do. I mean, it's not something we ever do. I don't know if it's something we really want to do, but we're going to do it. So, okay, next slide. I heard earlier the inflation talk. So this is actually the inflation graph, and as you can see, our inflation numbers they've rose 7.9% from Q1 to Q4 in 2021. They continued to rise. Some areas of the state have been hit worse than others. Quite frankly, this area has been okay. We actually just sold a big project on 475 that It was over the original budget, or over the original estimate, but it was under the revised estimate, so, which was good. But like District 8, Cincinnati area, for some reason, they're getting hit really bad, and some other areas are a little bit more, so. But we are as well, and I'm sure the county is too. I'm sure you guys are seeing it just like we are. Okay, next slide. Steel, obviously steel's probably one of the highest ones up. Oil, I mean, that's continues to get higher and higher and higher. Yeah, labor, resin, I won't go into all those, you can just go to the next one. So this is actually one of the most interesting when the steel price changes. So you can really see those steel escalation going. So if you're building a steel building, or you guys are thinking about building a building, I mean, it's not going to be favorable. Probably the prices are. So steel is one of the biggest components that's really the inflation's just crazy with steel. So, and there's different types of steel, Cat 1, Cat 2, but you're seeing 77%, 170% increase in steel. Now, having said that, we use a lot of asphalt, but then again, when you look at the oil per barrel, that's going to impact the asphalt. So it's not a good thing. So even though we're getting some extra revenue, and we were down revenue because of the pandemic, and we remain down revenue, this is really eroding it away, eroding our buying power, just like it would anybody putting on a construction job or project. Safety, another thing I wanted to cover here is just overall, like, injuries are actually been down. Fatalities have been up. They've been up for the last number of years. I won't go into too much detail here. I actually got a couple videos that I like to show. But essentially, just think about why that is, and I think you can kind of come to the conclusion why that is. Some of it might have been a little quicker, faster speeds. During the pandemic, especially during the first year of the pandemic, traffic was down significantly, as you saw, but actually fatalities were up fairly significantly during the pandemic. So people were driving more recklessly, but I think there's one main contributing factor. But if you go to the next slide. Just another slide, fatalities up. That's through 2020. Bike ped fatalities, we're paying a little bit more attention to that as well. We're putting some money towards that, and bike ped serious injuries. So again, you're seeing the serious injuries fall, but you're seeing fatalities go up both in bike ped and in vehicle. So that's when people are getting in crashes, they might be getting in less crashes or less serious injuries, but when they do, they're more fatal. So they're the real serious injuries. So next slide, please. Okay, so this is one when we talk about the dangers of the road and fatalities going up. This is distracted driving has been contributed to a lot of these. Some of them, it's very hard to prove, and I'm sure you can talk to your sheriff about that. It's very difficult to prove, but that's one of them we're contributing a lot more to, these fatalities. Like they're doing something, they're going off the side of the road or going left to center, and then, something bad happens, or they're just not paying attention. So if you hit the video, or just click, if you just click, I think it'll work. But so you watch this truck, you see the white truck there, and not slowing down, you're not seeing a lot of brake lights. And so this is on I-70 west of Columbus. I'll tell you, we got a lot of cool videos that we do get from these cameras. Nobody was killed in this incident. Some of them are very interesting, I think, and some are actually, they're indicative of the problems we're having. So you go to the next slide. So this next one just happened. We can watch it again.
Oh.
It's worth watching it. Yeah, just not paying attention.
Okay.
So this is the next one. This just happened a couple weeks ago. I think it's April or May 12th. You might have saw this on the news, but if you look, there's an ODOT vehicle parked along the side, and if there's a dump truck coming up, and here comes the dump truck.
Oh.
Jeez.
Oh.
This is in the Akron area, District 4. The ODOT employee was injured pretty significantly, and it's a good thing he actually made it out alive, quite frankly. But again, and there's no report out on this yet. I mean, it's very clear that the truck wasn't paying attention because he just veered right off and didn't stop. But it's just another sign, like some of this stuff's completely preventable. I don't know if you wanted to show it again. And that's the danger to our workers out there as well. I mean, it's a significant danger to them. It's a significant danger to the municipal and county workers and everybody else, and it's a scary job. It really is. Okay, next slide. So
more and more cameras out, ODOT does.
yeah, we have a decent amount in the Toledo area. We got a decent amount all over. Mostly the urbanized areas have them just because they use them for more traffic management. You know, if you're going down to Columbus, you know, take 315, take 23. You know, they're able to observe that. It has helped a lot with like accidents. I think one of the more recent ones you saw in Toledo, and it made national news, I believe, didn't it? Was the wrong way driver of those two. That was what, probably 2-3 months ago. The wrong way driver, and they're going down 75 and just, I think it was right into a truck, and it was just a huge explosion. They were both killed. That was one of them recently here. The other one that made national news was this was years ago, but a bank robbery. It had nothing to do with finding the guy or anything else. They caught him, but you can see them driving down 75 southbound, all these cops chasing them, all these police, sheriffs, and state patrol chasing them, and then you just start seeing money being thrown out of the windows. That one made national. It was just like you just start seeing money thrown out of the windows. So I think all of our folks wanted to pick up litter that day.
Yeah.
It's probably the only time they want to pick up litter, but it's. And we have some other interesting ones. The guy ramping up, not paying attention. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning. It's like Dukes of Hazzard. They ramped up over a big ravine. I mean, it was crazy. And they landed on their tires. I could have a presentation just on the stuff that's on these videos. But really talking about like a policy perspective, distracted driving it's been a big deal for the governor. And House Bill 283 is actually a distracted driving law, making it a primary offense. If you're driving distracted, you could actually get picked up for it. Out of the 14 states that have actually enacted the laws for 2018, they've actually seen decreases in fatalities. And they're probably some of the only states, actually they are some of the only states in the nation that has seen decrease. Overall, the nation has been increasing fatalities. Ohio has been increasing fatalities. So by them enacting that, it has actually seen a decrease. So as far as like we're concerned, ODOT or Mark Zimmerman or anybody else, we'll continue to spend money, and quite a bit of money, to try to make the roads safer. I mean, that's our main goal. That's our primary goal. But having said that, we can only do so much too. Driver habit is a lot of it as well. And something like actually passing a distracted driving bill doesn't cost anything and will save lives. And the proof is actually behind it, and the statistics are behind it. So I just wanted to mention that is on it's on the docket for the House. Okay, so I'm actually going to turn it over to Brian French, and Brian is going to take the next couple slides. So.
Morning. Sorry to be late, but this is probably hard for all you guys to see, but this is our multi-year work plan for the next 3 years, 2 years, all the construction projects going around the entire district. So if you want to skip to the next slide. In Seneca County, this year, it's a little bit cyclic. This year we only have 2 jobs going on. There's been other years where I feel like all my jobs are in Seneca County. But this year we have the 95-780 project is State Route 231. That job doesn't sell until the end of July, basically August 1st. And we've restricted it to only take place for 60 days. There's no closures involved with it. It's just resurfacing of 231. But when they start, we've required them to be done in 60 days. And it could happen this year, the very end of this year. If I had to gamble, I would say more than likely it's going to be next year, but I can't guarantee that. So either the very end of this year, 60 days, or the beginning of next year, 60 days, we'll pave 231. The more interesting project is the 110-912 job. That's Roundabout at 224 and 587. So actually on June 13th, I believe the contractor is hoping to close 587 and 224. And that job should last, cross your fingers and hope the creek don't rise, That job should last 60 days. That's what the closure is set up for right now. And again, that's the roundabout right there at that intersection. But that's all we have going on this year. Do you guys have any questions about either of those jobs?
Why'd they decide to put a roundabout there?
It's a good question. I'll give my best guess, and then I'm sure there's people in this room that probably know better than me. But the way I understand it, there was quite a few accidents there, and the roundabout is something we put into place for safety, same as what Pat was talking about. We put it for safety, and I think that's the biggest reason why, is just to try to reduce the number of accidents, the number of fatalities at that intersection.
Yeah, and speaking to roundabouts in general as well as this one, so roundabouts in general reduce about 90% of the fatalities statistically, about 70-something% of the serious injuries, and around 30-some-odd% of the crashes. So they reduce all three of those. Obviously crashes to a lesser impact, but definitely fatalities to a greater impact. So when we're looking at safety issues, this was on the governor's top 150 list, so 50 rural, 50 urban, 50 suburban, as far as not safe intersections. And why is it not safe? There's probably varying reasons. I mean, one of them's the skew, I would imagine. That has to be one of them. But when you look at those, we're trying to address those with the most appropriate fix. So a roundabout would be the most appropriate fix to address the safety issue. Looking at the traffic data, and actually have the traffic data, looking at the traffic data, there's about 6,600 cars a day, comparable to, like, I think Wooster Street was 15,000, 315. I don't know if you ever go down to Columbus. 315's quite a bit higher. It might be like 12,000, 13,000. So, and I have the list here, but they, when you're looking at appropriate fixes, sometimes people want to look towards like lights, or they might want to look towards, well, why don't you put rumble strips in? Or LED signs, although I think there already is LED signs out there. But when you have a rumble strip, for example, you add rumble strips, one, neighbors hate them. That's not the reason not to put them in, but they generally hate them. But when you look at the rumble strip, you got to look at the crash type. So when you look at the crash type related to that intersection, and I do have it here, there was a lot of like failure to yields, according to the OH1 reports, not failure to stop. So there's a difference there. So the stop sign was about 15% of the crashes. Failure to yield was about 85% of the crashes. So you're looking at something that, people know there's a stop sign. They're stopping. They're just choosing, they're misjudging the distance. They're misjudging, they're misjudging how far a vehicle is away, whatever the case is. Then they're proceeding and they shouldn't be proceeding. So when you look at that, it really points to, okay, how do we best curb this? It would be a roundabout. Usually lights. A lot of times people want lights. Lights actually increase the crashes, believe it or not, at a lot of intersections. A lot of people think they're safer. They generally are not safer. It just depends on the intersection. But they also, 50% of the time or more, you are stopped. Where a roundabout, you're not stopped. It's generally continual flow. So they generally flow a little bit better and they're safer.
I understand that logic. This is an old topic, I know. Given that logic about roundabouts, why in the world would we put one in at a three-way stop on a state route? On 53, I'm talking about north. I've looked and asked the question. I know of nowhere else, certainly in Ohio, maybe I'll be proven wrong, or in this country, that there is a roundabout.
You're talking about Terra State?
Yeah, and a roundabout at a three-way stop. And certainly the statistics there for crashes could not have been very high.
Well, yes and no. So actually I'll give you one right in District 2, one I drive through every single day. Is Waterville, Ohio. So Waterville is a three-way stop, 64 and 65. It's on the south. It's really not Waterville. It's on the Wood County side, so it's rural, 55 miles an hour. And that traffic there, I could tell you it backed up bad. Like every single day, it was backed up. I mean, Kelsey, you had to drive that all the time. I don't know how many cars would be backed up. I've never had it back up once. since that roundabout's been in. That is a three-way stop, and that actually has more ADT than this does, not more trucks, but more ADT. So the Terra State One, I'd be lying to you to say that that's our crown jewel of roundabouts in District 2. There is, and that was put in many, many years ago. I think there's many reasons why people dislike that roundabout a lot. I think one of the biggest was you're really, and it was a push, it's my understanding, again, I wasn't here then, but it was a push back then by some entities. You're really not solving a safety problem. We're talking about solving a safety problem right here.
That's why I say, by virtue of the logic for roundabouts, that seems to me to be more of just a kind of a slowdown for traffic, normal commerce, than it does make any sense to avoid crashes or.
Yes and no, like maybe for that one, but again, going back to the Waterville one, like the Waterville one is a three-way.
I'm just talking about that one specifically.
Yeah. I would say that's not our model roundabout. I think it also has like 4-inch curb. We don't put 4-inch curbs in roundabouts anymore. We go down to 2 inches. And a lot of times people are worried about the truck traffic. Those trucks, they actually are meant to drive on the aprons. Those aprons are for the trucks. Those concrete, usually stamped aprons. So it from this perspective, it works really well. I'm not saying, again, Terra was the model roundabout, but three-way stops, they do work very, very well in other areas, and I am, both of us can attest to that daily, that it works extremely well in Waterville, or going over the Waterville Bridge, so. And it is a safety issue still.
And to your point, that slowdown of traffic, a lot of times that does have a significant impact on safety. We don't want to, like, I don't want to go up to I-75 and slow it down to 20 miles an hour.
I don't disagree with you, but you can slow down traffic any place and say that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But this kind of calms traffic. It doesn't stop traffic. It slows traffic down. And it, at a bare minimum, if the number of accidents we had increased but nobody died, I say we won.
And nobody's seriously injured. I would also look at a roundabout too, when you're out there right now, or if a light's there, and you got 6,600 cars a day going through that on 224, or it's around there. So 6,600 cars a day are gonna go through it, whether it's a light, whether there's no stop sign, or whether there's a roundabout. Well, in theory, your gaps are gonna be, in theory, somewhat the same. And it's going to be a lot easier to merge in and out when you're contending with traffic going 20 miles an hour versus going 60, 65, 70, 1,000 feet gap or 500 feet gap or 200 feet gap is a lot different at 15 or 20 miles an hour than it is.
Yeah, I would just suggest there that it might have saved more lives and did the same thing if we had it at 53 and 6 rather than at a three-way stop. Or is it 6 that comes across there?
Yeah.
6,
The next intersection south. It would do the same thing, but there would be, catch a whole lot more traffic there and keep traffic flowing at that point, because a lot of people turn right, turn left, whatever, at that point, as opposed to that particular spot.
Right. So again, this one is actually an ideal location, and partially because of those angles. Like, angles are great to put roundabouts in. When you have a skew, or you don't have a perpendicular intersection, it works. They work very, very well there, so.
And I was just gonna add that I think the one at Terra, before the virtual act, where more and more classes are virtual, there was an expectation that the campus is gonna continue to grow and continue to have younger drivers and drivers who might not be as prepared to react to a semi coming and turning left against a semi. And so I think that has a safety benefit, and in the olden days, before this virtual world that we're living in now, probably had a greater play as well.
I just think at that particular intersection, it's probably more a surge of traffic at certain times.
Sure.
As opposed to a flow, two state routes coming together, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think the problem actually existed to the south. That first county road to the south, because that was the main entrance in and out. Everybody would come out to that and come west and then turn onto, and I think the whole idea, to her point, was Terra was gonna grow, and we're gonna shift the main entrance where we put the roundabout at. I think that was the idea. I think everyone's heart was in the right place, but I don't know. Maybe I can't disagree with anything you're saying.
Well, I think it's a, the efficiency of District 2 money is my concern.
No, absolutely.
That if we make decisions that take money out of the pot, that's less money for the rest of us, but we make bad decisions.
Yeah, and there was actually a lot of local commitment into that one, a lot of local dollars into that. So again, we want to be good partners too. I will say, like, this one's 100% ODOT money. When it comes to 100% ODOT money, we look very almost surgically at where we want to address issues, and that's where, like, the governor's top 150 intersection list came up, where, you know, this is one of the top 50 rural worst intersections in the state of Ohio. So this is definitely, you know, we definitely want to put our money there.
Good.
2 questions. One, as you go, you talk about bad angles. I mentioned this last year, speaking with Mark Zimmerman, the county out where you're at, Brian, that point.
Yep, 151.
Okay, we have plans to come across there. Did you talk to Mark about that?
I know there was mention of it.
More to come, that's all. We'll just leave it at that, but we're gonna need your help and support on that. We met with Mark in our county campus out there, and we're Lou from School of Opportunity. A lot of school buses coming down to, we have a proposed plan to correct that. And we mentioned it last year, but we haven't seen it yet, so it'll be.
And I think it was to make that road come in perpendicular.
Yeah, it comes straight across. ODOT owns that property, but it's
Right.
just kind of grass. And we actually have a rendering. We've talked to some people, met with Mark, and so if that's okay.
And I've talked with Tom and Brian, and I don't think we have any objections, or, I mean, we need to see the drawings first, but
Yeah.
I think we're.
Be less for you tomorrow, Brian.
It's pollinator habitat.
Yeah. We'll,
It's soil and water, but some up.
we have, we can do a trade on that, no problem, so. But anyhow, more to come if that's okay.
Yeah.
It's really a big deal to us as we continue to grow out there with our campus, and just really help traffic.
And again, that's another safety concern. So, like, if we're not using it and it's going to make things safer, that's very much aligns with our mission. So,
Yeah, so thank you. I'm just using this platform to put a plug in with you. And then on 53, I see they're still working on that drainage from last year.
Between Fort Seneca
Yeah,
and
around
Tiffin.
Fort Seneca area. Or is that just,
That's the garage project.
that's you guys? Okay, just putting grass and stuff in there?
Well, we'll, pending the weather and last night's 3 to 5 inches of rain,
Yeah.
which we were planning to be out there today, but yes, we got another 12 or 1,400 feet to go.
So
to
the state
south.
put the first part in?
Yep.
And then you're continuing back?
Yep, we're continuing on this.
Great
year.
project. I live out there. It's really helping, so. Okay. Fair
Good,
enough.
okay. Well, go ahead to the next slide. I think, yeah, the next slide is pretty much what I already said. The only thing I didn't mention was 100. We had that project going on last year. We ran out of good weather, so we have to finish up the surface course on 100. And that, like I said, it says June 6th there. We should be done in and out of there really quick. And then next slide. These are 2023 projects. This is our best guess at this time. I mean, there's a lot of things up in the air with the budget, like Pat talked about earlier. So there's projects being added and subtracted and everything like that. But these are the jobs coming up for 2023. Most of these jobs would probably take place in 23, but it's more being sold in 23. So that's kind of what to expect for the future. And I think that's about all I had, unless you guys have questions.
I got a question.
Sure.
Bill Frankert, Adams Township. So I think last year we talked, and you guys did a great job up on 101 there in Adams Township, you know, kind of straightening it out, doing a great job. The other caveat, and I think I brought it up last year, and I've been on Brian a little bit about neighbors of ours on 19, about a half a mile west of 228, that bridge. It's not good up there. You know, I went across yesterday, a pickup truck, and you bounce, there's trailers getting disconnected on that. You know, as we talked, it's not maybe a bridge thing, maybe an approach thing, but we really need to get something figured out for a safety aspect of it. If the trailer comes off and hits the oncoming traffic, that's not a good situation. I mean, the landowners, I talked to Brian a little bit about it. He hit me up yesterday, you can see it on the paper, you guys are coming today, so, just wanna see how we can, meet, orchestrate something to help our citizens out there be safe going across that.
Yeah, let me hook up with Brian and get some more information, and we can look into that. I mean, probably the best thing, I mean, maybe the best thing, I don't know when the last time, I can't remember ever doing that particular bridge. So it might be before me, which would be, 25, 26 years ago. So we'll look into that, see where that is on the bridge program, and then if it's too far out, I mean, we can see what can be done.
Well, that's what I think his comment was, maybe just the approach thing, the bridge might be,
Sure.
okay, might be just the approach part of that, but yeah, when you come across, you're like, say, even a pickup truck, it's.
Yeah.
it's out.
And we got some real talented guys on our paving train too,
Yeah.
so it's something we could look into there. I think there's several options we can look into.
Definitely, but yeah, if you guys could take a look at that.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks.
All right, good morning. As I said earlier, my name's Mark. I'm the Highway Management Administrator. This is Brian, as you all know. We're going to tackle some of the maintenance projects we got coming up in this county. So turn it over to Brian, kick it off.
So, going right down the list, US 224, it'd actually be between, just west of Tiffin, between there and, what do I want to put? Tim Zoller's place. We have 2 more culverts to go in. Our plan is to lessen the blow to traffic while the contractors out there already got 224 closed down. We really shouldn't have any commercial traffic in that area. We plan to get those 2 culverts done where we're only impacting, obviously if you're on the wrong side of the culvert and you might have to go around the block. It's gonna impede some people for, usually we knock out a culvert like that in possibly 2 to 4 days. So within 2 weeks, 2 working weeks, 10 days, those will both definitely be knocked out of the way. State Route 4, 2 culverts, actually we already got the one done. And the other one, after further inspection and talking to a landowner who has a waterway that leads into it, the culvert actually appears to be in good shape. It's more or less getting off the right of way some and getting the water to go. So really, that won't take much time at all. State Route 19, just south of town, Township Road 58. We've got 2 culverts to go in, and we talked with, I can't think of her name at the moment, but from the Parks District. We went out there, Sarah. And actually they had an old fence that ran along 19 there, and I said, if you guys wouldn't mind, I'd just like to, it's an old cattle fence that just impedes mowing and everything else. And it probably isn't our fence, but I'm like, we'll rip it out if you guys can we'll pull it out, and they have, I guess, the capability to burn, because like I say, I'll be stuffing dumpsters full of all that stuff. So we just moved everything down to their place, and they're taking care of the waste. But the 2 culverts right there at the corner and straightening that up a little bit. And then 228, like I say, closed for pavement repairs. We had it scheduled for the 23rd, and actually the paver or the mill, I believe.
Both.
Broke down the one day we had 2 days scheduled. They got it back up and going. We got one of our 2 days in, and then here on 14th of this month, we will, pending weather, that will be completed as well. And it's not on the list, but like you said, Anthony, up there at Fort Seneca, 1,200 feet of pipe coming back to the south. And basically we're doing that because we actually, it's rare for us, but we own a tile that goes off a right of way. It's actually deeded to us as far as it's our baby. And instead of going through people's property with our tile, so when they get suck holes, we have to go. We've been off of 53 a long way, and there's a little drive that goes back in there, and we have to go back there and fix all that. So the plan is to take all the water from like 150 and run it all up north and get rid of it. And once that pipe is run, we will grout shut. That way that pipe will never collapse in people's yards and things like that. we have to still do some talking as far as if they're tied in with their houses anywhere, what we're gonna do to, you know, remedy the problem. But aside from that, the mowing's going on, just really started this week. Boy, it jumped up here in the past week though, oh my goodness. The guardrails all sprayed, so hopefully nobody will be running into guardrail ends because they can't see them. They all look pretty good. They're not in bad shape by any means, but they'll all be knocked down. Like I say, it's day-to-day stuff from here on out. Like say the main projects, but whatever you guys need, call. If you see something, I know Bill always calls, and believe me, you're not the only guy, Bill.
Yeah. Right, you have your planned projects, then you have your phone ringing.
Well, last night,
Things just
three
happen all
to
the
5
time.
inches of rain.
Yeah.
If you lived in Tiffin, you might not have seen it. But, oh, and we also, the boss wanted me to mention, we spent a lot of money on bermstone this year. We have roughly 400 miles of road. We bermed at least 300 miles of that between end of winter and spring here. Well, last week on, I think it was the 21st, we got that heavy downpour. We probably went out and spent, I'd have to look at the day cards to see how much stone we put down. But at $12.90 a ton, we probably went out and spent $3,000 on stone last week. Guess what we're doing today and probably tomorrow? We might even exceed that because it was worse last night. So those are the unplanned things. Like I say, I wanted to be up working on 53 today and tomorrow. Not gonna happen. I got drop-offs, you know, that happened overnight. So it's all the unplanned stuff that really dampers what we do or what we want to
We're
do.
blessed to have a garage right here in the county, and we know your numbers, so.
Yep, that's good.
I think they're blessed to have you, just the garage.
That's good.
Yep.
Anything else? Yes, sir, anybody? Keep going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just a couple extra things, programs we run out of highway management that may impact you or definitely does. First off is Adopt a Highway. So these are our Seneca County groups that we have. This program was pretty much put on hold for a couple years during COVID, but it kicked back up early spring last year, and we've had a ton of groups out picking up. And then I believe actually the next slide is your Gold Star. Nope, I'm sorry. If you go back to that one, I think the last one then just might be all the groups that you have. You know, you guys have a lot of groups in Seneca County.
I guarantee a New Wriggle National Honor Society is Gold Star.
Yeah.
Because that lady, she drives them every Saturday or first Saturday of every month, guaranteed. I don't care if it's raining, snowing.
Really?
Yes.
And that's actually the most groups out of any county
Yeah,
district.
by
too.
far.
So.
And it's greatly
a lot of pride
appreciated.
in
So.
How you're.
Do you list of available roads or ones that you want to see kept up?
We have, if somebody wants to call in, I mean, I usually recommend a piece. You know, we have roads in Seneca County that I don't want people to be walking on. State Route 4, any of that. You don't, you know, there's certain areas. We try to go from Tiffin and work our way out so we're as close to Tiffin as we can be and get all that covered, you know, which it ends up pushing some groups out further. But yeah, if there's any questions on what section of road they could pick up, they can always come, or if they have a section they want to do, that's fine. And then I'll be like, well, you know, there's reasons why we don't do certain sections of road. You know what I mean? So.
And I think we even have a map of where all of these like pick up labeled that we could get you to, just for your own awareness. And
yeah, if you want any of that, stop out. I'm sure I can figure out how to print one off.
Thank you.
All right, if you can go to the next slide for us, thank you. And then the last thing, and it's something that we've been working on, trying to get litter agreements all across our district. And you know, we've had this for several years with the Oriana House, and some have fallen off during COVID, and then we've been struggling to get them to pick back up in other counties, but they have not. Oriana House has been wonderful. They constantly keep picking up. We're constantly upping prices, and they're meeting and exceeding, and they're great to work with. So we really appreciate it, and it's great for the community Great for ODOT. It allows Brian's crews to be out and doing more drainage work and berming, of course, and all the fun things they love to do, instead of picking up trash. So
Well, they're out in Bill's neighborhood this week. I've seen him, and what he does, like I say, without these guys, I would, and I hate to brag, but I would stack Seneca County up against pretty much any county in District 2 as far as being, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I think our roadways stay cleaner than any county in our district, just because of them mainly. He came out today, I gave him another bag, I don't know how many bags are in a box, but Bob White came out today and picked up another box of bags. Every day I showed, we got a little app through ODOT, the locator, and he hits it and it tells you what your mile marker is on the road. And then when he gets to the end, he hits that mile marker, sends me a text with the exact locations where they picked up and how many bags are laying alongside the road. So my guy's like, hey, where are they at? And I said, right here, 16 to the 18 mile marker, State Route 19. There's 10 bags out there. Every day they pick up. And like I say, they go out, because it gets the inmates, or whatever proper term, to go out, and they don't have to be inside. So they like to go out and get out and not be confined. So they enjoy it.
We're happy to pay that.
And yeah, happy to pay
absolutely.
that.
It's great.
All right, I think that's it for that one. And that's all for the end. Any maintenance concerns you have for Brian or I? Things we should take a look at?
Thanks, Mark.
Like I say, if you do, you guys know.
Is this it for the whole presentation?
Yep, I think that's it. So if you got any questions for any of us, just let us know.
Well, the assumption always is when you come in, for the past 8 years at least, for me, has been, and probably every county, we don't get our fair share, and we got a lot of projects that are completed that we'd like to see done. So that's the assumption that we have when we listen to presentations. I'll say one more time, as I have for, again, a number of years. You guys, I know you're the messenger, so I'm not directly blaming anyone at District 2, except that Seneca County has 6.7, 6.8% of the population. We have 11 or 12% of the bridges and culverts. I think 9% of the road miles, and we consistently get less than 4% of the money in District 2. That bothers me. I've asked before to see the equations or the algorithms that are used, and I know it has to do with traffic count, and I know it has to do with intersections that are dangerous and those kind of things. But the fact is that we are one of the few counties in Ohio that does not have a 4-lane highway through it. So you would think, from my chair, that we would concentrate more in those counties that don't have 4 lanes with Super 2s, wider intersections, with the state routes that do come through the county, that those are, that we flatten the hills, that we fill in the ditches, etc. The concentration should be more with those of us that don't have 4 lanes. So, I've never understood the equation. I've never understood the algorithms. I continue to say that we have more than 6% of the population, more than 9% of the road miles, more than 11% of the bridges and culverts, and we consistently get less than 4% of the money. And I would think that at some point, at least over the years, I get that we're not going to get our share every time, but I would think that at some point it would rise way above that, as it does in some other counties for specific projects. So that's my little talk, and that's what I say every time. And it's not aimed at anybody specifically, except I'm frustrated with the equation and whatever the numbers are used to determine how much a county gets in a specific district. I think that we've been shorted for a good long time, and I will continue to fight to get more percentage of the money equal to what our stats show that we should have.
And Commissioner, and just from ODOT's perspective, like obviously the big projects, even the Roundabout project or even the big 75 projects, those are the ones people notice the most.
Yeah.
90% of our money goes to taking care of what we have. So when you look at, all the revenue we get, everything else, and most of the projects you actually see on Brian's overall list for the whole district is taking care of what we have. So I think with the operation, I think you're talking about the operations budget, right? Yeah, if you ever want to, we could sit down and talk about the capital budget too, because stuff that's not in there is like the city of Tiffin has gotten a fair amount of money from ODOT to make different various upgrades. Now that goes it's a local program that goes directly to Tiffin, or it's usually reimbursable. Jobs and Commerce, our Jobs and Commerce division has given money. I think they've been working, well, it was with David Zach, I know David's gone, but they've gotten some money to do some local road projects. That would not be in that budget. Overall capital projects are not necessarily in that budget. So that's our operating budget. Our capital budget varies, and in general, our capital budget, taking out like track, which is big, you got to have big projects. But taking out track, our capital budget's based on road conditions, and it's based on bridge conditions. So we have like a bridge allocation and a road allocation. And the road allocation goes up and down, same thing with the bridge every year, based on what those conditions are. So and we actually are required to meet 75% of the recommendations. So 75% of the recommendations might say, hey, we have a PCR, pavement condition rating on 224 or any one of the routes here. It gets to a certain point, it's like, okay, we might be able to chip seal it. It gets a little lower. It's like, we can't chip seal it. We got a microsurface. It might get lower, and it's like, okay, now we got to mill and fill. It might get lower than that. If it starts getting really low, then it's like we got to tear out the whole dang thing, which is very expensive, and then rebuild the whole thing. We try to avoid getting to that position. I think ODOT 20 years ago would always take care of the worst first, which was not a good philosophy. It's like if you own 10 houses and you take care of the worst first, that's not usually the best idea, because the roof, if you get a leaky roof, you better go fix the leaky roof. Don't wait for it to get mold and damage. But so yeah, I mean, I think with our district budget, it's generally geared towards, if you look county by county, it'd be Wood County, because we're hiring a lot of engineers. Actually, Josh, my own salary comes out of Wood County. I don't live in Wood County, but when you look at our district budget, Wood County is our district where our engineers are, where our administrative staff is, where everybody else is. So that would probably be the highest per population when you look at the operational budget. But if you ever did want to sit down, we could go over the capital budget. It varies every year. And I think even Brian's presentation, 2023, when you looked at it, there's a lot of work in Seneca County. 2022, there wasn't as much.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I understand the difference between capital budgets and operating budgets.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there's some ebb and flow with the capital budgets especially.
Yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make, and I'm trying to hammer home, is that every year from an operational standpoint, we get less than 4% of the money, every year. And again, I'm not sure of the equation, and I'm not sure what the algorithms are that we use.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that we have a much higher percentage of road miles, we have a much higher population, and we have a much higher percentage of bridges and culverts that deal mostly with the operational money. And we consistently get significantly less than that percentage on an annual basis. I'm talking about over the last 10, 12, 15 years. I get that there's been capital projects, have been good projects every now and again, but there's also been years where there's been very little capital project. So I'm strictly talking about the operating budget that's coming to Seneca County from the Ohio Department of Transportation District 2, that we consistently get significantly less than the percentages would indicate we should.
Okay. Well, next year, I'll actually add that as a slide, because I'm kind of curious too, to do the percentages and everything.
Yeah, I've got 8 years worth, so if you'd like to do the history, I'll be happy to show it to you.
And I think it'd be good, because I again, just thinking of our operation budget, Wood County is going to have easily the most.
Pat, respectfully, I get the same answer every year.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, if there was 2 or 3 years in there, maybe we got close or more than I think we ought to, but it's not. The fact of the matter is, it is below 4% every year, no matter how you mince it and dice it. And it just seems to me at some point, we should have gotten a little more than that, and I understand some years you get a little less than that, but I've never understood the equation. I've never understood the components to the equation that determine the percentage that we get. I don't know that I ever will. but I got my own little numbers that I use that tell me something's not quite right here.
Okay. Next year, I'll add that.
Okay.
What we can go over that a little bit, maybe more fine tune. I'll
But-
come to that.
You guys have been good to us. The county engineer certainly has built up a nice stash of money and takes care of the county roads because of ODOT, and we're appreciative of that. But we do have citizens a number of times a year concerned about specific projects, and we try to bring those to everybody's attention when we can.
Great. So when we follow up with our little prior discussion to, what are we calling that project at the county? Where we want to come across your,
Yep.
can we name that? What do we call that? Brian's.
No, that's Township Road, because that's actually a Township Road that
Yeah,
goes in
so we have a
between.
county road, a township road, and a state road.
So we're not ED officials. They come up with all these clever names
So who
to
do
call
we-
projects.
so-
I don't.
We have, should we have our engineer contact you?
Paradiso Parkway, I think.
Yeah,
is
there
what
we
it
go.
is.
It's not as good as anything.
But we're definitely, we want to fast track it, or at least get it in motion. Understanding things take time, because that is a big deal. Wouldn't you say, Stacy?
So do you have plans for it now?
We have rendering of what we'd like to do.
Okay.
Yes, we do have plans.
'Cause if you have plans and you have a right-of-way plans, then we can make.
Real
That's,
estate.
the real estate component's really your biggest issue with us, right?
Okay.
So like if you had the plans, you had the right-of-way plans, we need to dedicate or give you guys the right-of-way, give the county the right-of-way or the township, however that works. And that's all based on that center line plan that they have. So if they have that, we'll just give it to our real estate folks. And as long as Brian and Tom are good with it, we'll dedicate that right away.
It's
So,
way out in the middle. It wouldn't hurt us any.
yeah, so if he's saying it won't hurt us any, then we just need to know like legally how much to give to you.
Yeah, and then we would close the other one off, right?
Yeah, you were talking about
Close
closing
one,
151,
yeah, we
actually
just-
just having
Right.
one
Okay.
entrance.
Thank you. I feel good that we got a.
Yeah, if you got that
Correct.
set of plans, bring them out to the garage and
We're
I'll
not-
ship them.
We're not that far, we just have a rendering with a sketch, but
Right.
we can have Mark.
But
Towards-
Mark's doing them, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just tell him to come up with some right-of-way plans too, and that's all you need from us, is just the right-of-way. So that's not an issue at all.
We need your blessing though to get a curb cut into the, is that automatic?
Well, you're getting rid of one too,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
what we're doing.
You'll be fine.
Okay.
It'll be
got
fine.
it. Good, don't want to overthink it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm crossing my
Well,
T's.
and sometimes it is a big deal, but you're getting rid of one. It's actually a dedicated road, so this is not as big of a deal. You know, having said that, I'll go back and my district planner will be like, well, you did what? You agreed to what? No, I'm kidding. It'll be fine. I don't see any issues with it. Biggest thing is he just gives us the right-of-way plans, and then I can, Brian can give it to our real estate folks and say, here, this is what we need to do. They'll run with it. They'll make sure it's accurate, which I'm sure will be, because Mark's a surveyor, and we'll start one of us can start the paperwork
Love it.
to work it.
Biggest debate we have in the county is with these township trustees, if we want to take any road, even if it's 100-foot of road, it's an act of Congress to do that. We have to give them something back, right, Bill?
Right.
So
Give and take.
there'll be a little bit of that going on out there, but Mark has a plan, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, not a problem.
Thank you. Anything else? You guys are good?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. See you, bud.
Take care.
Okay, so, commissioner reports.
Keep it short.
Start with Commissioner Schuff.
Thank you. Keep it short and brief here. Had OSS meeting yesterday. Be honest with you, I did it via Zoom. It's very difficult to hear and understand some of the things they were saying, so I think we need to switch up possibly the times and dates on that. So that will be coming up here soon, hopefully, to have that discussion. But trying to zoom in, I think Stacy was on a meeting too.
You couldn't hear anything.
I don't know if they had a bad connection or not, but yeah, it was not the press as far as that goes. had a meeting with Ann Goon yesterday to try to get to understand the process as far as the health department's role and stuff goes as far as the permitting process. Also, we had Children and Family First Council this morning. Also, just some events coming up here this weekend. Bloomville has their community garage sale. The Micah High football camp will be in Fall Astoria this weekend. And then also attended ribbon cutting last week for the drive-in, which was very well attended.
Yeah.
If you get some time to stop out there, it's very impressive. Just all the renovations that they've done, the investment in the community out there in the township, and just when you see a lot of these drive-ins closing down, it's nice to see one that's actually growing and thriving. So some of the numbers I looked up, I think there's less than 325 drive-ins left in the country. About 25 of those are here in the state of Ohio, so it's neat to see the investment here in the community, so check it out. That's all I have for now, thank you.
Hope you feel better.
Better than what I was yesterday. Fever's down, and I wasn't COVID. I took the COVID test, so I'm luckily past the worst of it, so thank you.
Commissioner.
Sure, we spent a lot of time this, unfortunately, because of OSS, we did request, we thought it was very important, the three of us thought it very important to try to be there. We requested that meeting be changed. They couldn't do it. They had the other 6 commissioners committed to that time. Because of that, we've done extra work, I guess, or I've done extra work on trying to get myself current on the landfill situation with Wynn, Sunny Hills, Sunny Farms. So I have, watched videos and listened to presentations and had conversations with Ann Goon and trying to come to some better understanding of where exactly things are. On another topic, we had building permits, and we're talking about trying to join in with Sandusky County if that's possible. We are Richland County now. We've had a number of complaints from builders, et cetera, about timing issues with them. This is talked about this morning, kind of definition of insanity. Every year we have them come in. Every year they say, we're sorry, we'll do better. And then they come back and they don't. They will be in again next week, I think, to present. But the long and short of it is working with the folks in Sandusky County, and I can't think of the name of their company, something. Wanted the specifics regarding income and permits, poll, et cetera. We did about $128,000 in 2021 in fees. In addition to that, permit, some additional permit income. We're also talking to Fostoria because they're not real pleased with their situation either. We would project that we would do someplace in the 150 to 175 range in income for whoever might want to also come in from Sandusky County and help us get that done. The biggest obstacle is not so much the permitting for the initial project, but as much as it is every time there's a change made, there needs to be a quick response time if a guy's in the middle of building a building, and those response times seem to be getting longer and longer as the year goes on. So we will give our numbers to the folks in Sandusky County so that they can look at those and determine whether or not it makes sense for them to add somebody additionally for Seneca County and possibly for the city of Fostoria. And we hope to continue to have those discussions. So I spent a lot of my week working on those 2 issues. That's what I have.
And that's good with the, with the permitting. I think we feel in Seneca County, we just want to make it business friendly for people to do business here. If you're a contractor or a business owner and you want to have a construction project or expand, you have to go through the state and comply with the state regulations. But the process to get there, if we can help, and I think good job on your end, doing a lot of work, that's what we're trying to do. And we're just listening to the people. That's what we're supposed to do. The contractors, the people that own buildings that are frustrated. I know you've gotten calls, the delays. So if there's any way we can improve that, I'm all ears. So looking forward to the future, discussions.
contrary to what people think, government does not create jobs, but they're here to create an environment that can create jobs. So what we're trying to do is create that environment that makes it friendly and open for people to build things and come to Seneca County. And when you can't and things get bottlenecked, it's frustrating.
Yeah, so Stace will go to you, and then we'll jump into old business, so. County Administrator's report.
I don't have a lot. There was just a couple reminder that our EMS meeting was canceled for tonight at 7 and it was rescheduled to the 23rd. Just wanted to remind everybody so we don't get anybody logging on tonight saying, why aren't we there? We got an email from Paul Harrison about the Investment Advisory Committee on Tuesday at 10:30. Do you guys want to Zoom? Do you guys want them to come here? They said they're open either way.
I think Zoom is fine. Is Elaine coming from Columbus?
Yeah, she said she could be available either via Zoom or she could come here.
I think Zoom for her would be fine rather than make her travel.
That's kind of a follow-up from our last meeting.
Yeah.
It is.
I think that
Yep.
was,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, I think we can do it by Zoom.
Okay. And also regional planning, I don't know if you've seen her email. They must be going over some bylaws or something on the 3rd. They wanted to make sure you guys would be available. August 3rd would be the next meeting. I know that's looking out quite a ways, but she had sent an email asking about it, so.
Is that a Wednesday?
Let me look.
Is that our meeting or their meeting?
Their meeting. It's at 5.
They meet the first Wednesday. I did not attend. Last night I was out of town, so I'm on that committee, but.
Yep, so she's just asking, the only thing I see on the calendar, I think, Tony, you have DDC planning trip, Pickaway. I'm not
Yeah,
sure what that
I
is.
think
Looks
I'll
like
be back by then.
What's the date again?
the 3rd, August 3rd. But I didn't know if that was just a whole day thing, if you'd be available.
So is this, and, you know, sorry Charlene wasn't there last night, but are we asking all 3 commissioners to be available?
Mhm. Wondering, make sure you guys would be available.
So we can either do it that way, or we could have her come into one of our meetings.
Well, I mean, she needs the regional planning board, which includes you 3, so.
Yeah, but
Think about it
If
and-
there are significant changes to the bylaws, it would
Oh,
be
we
nice
talk
for
about it here,
everybody to
and
so
then-
we could at least understand what they were before we got to the meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
I think that works.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We want
I
to,
don't
Charlene, if you're
see
listening,
her.
I'll speak with her before.
Okay.
Because I'm president of that board,
Yep, she had just sent an email, I think,
and I'm behind
a
on.
couple days, so
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure I brought that up.
Fair enough.
And I received a message from Mike Ditto, and he is on. He sent me some of the capital budgets that Seneca County got. It looks like Fostoria splash pad, 150,000, the EMT Vanguard Sentinel, 75,000, and the Tiffin Community Kitchen, 300,000. I don't know if Mike's got any further comments on those.
Sure, yeah. Morning, everyone.
Morning, Mike.
So, yeah, there will be some capital dollars coming into the county for this budget cycle. As you can tell from the significant allocation that went to the kitchen, there was a big focus in this budget on mental health and recovery and fighting addiction and those types of things. Clearly, the kitchen fell within the mental health space, and that's why the legislature decided to fund it pretty significantly. But the county is getting some money, and I do think that there's going to be opportunities potentially for additional dollars through federal money coming in later this year. So we're going to monitor that and see what may be available for the county, if anything, in the days and weeks ahead. The capital budget was unveiled on Tuesday, and it passed out of both chambers of the General Assembly yesterday. So that bill is actually on its way to the governor, as is, with no changes to it. So the numbers you see in front of you are expected to be signed by the governor later this week. And you know, I think that your legislators, Senator Reineke and Representative Click, did a nice job of advocating for some new projects for the county, which of course the commissioners, you all were supportive of. and we will see if there's going to be any additional dollars later this year. The legislature is out of session now for several months. They're still going to be doing meetings and things and preparing for the lame duck session after the election. But the capital budget should be signed this week, and that's sort of the last item.
Yeah, I see, Mike, this is when the golf outings begin.
Oh, he's still there.
Yes,
All the
absolutely.
representatives and senators have golf outings. I've received a few notices in the mail. Commissioner Kirschner is our designated representative for those. But, okay, no comment here, thank you. Anybody else want to say
Thanks,
anything?
Mike. Thanks for your hard work on that budget, the capital budget. I know that was a moving target from time to time. You guys did a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it. No, thank you. If there's anything else, the legislature being done now for a little while is a unique opportunity for us to do meetings and other things. So if there's anything we can help you with over the summer months here, we'll be available.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for the update. Anything else?
Nope.
So into old business, I'd like to bring up the landfill issue. I see we have in the crowd representatives from Sunny Farms and some citizens. We'll talk about public comment at the end. But at this point, I'd like to bring up, this will be open discussion. The commissioners are taking under consideration a resolution. We have a draft resolution prepared. That's what it is, it's a draft. I'd like to have a little discussion about that. I believe, Jimmy, you will post it to the public. We'll let that out there for people to look at and to give us feedback. I think, our job as commissioners is to get educated. My grandmother always told me there was 3 sides to every story. And I'm trying to understand the 2 sides and gather all the information I can as a commissioner, and then we will take formal action as a board with our response. So I think we're all in similar positions. Commissioner Kirschner, you want to add?
Just kudos to Jimmy, because he has kind of pointed us in the right direction, listened to videos, listened to different meetings, review the facts, and kudos includes the fact that what we're trying to do with this, because there is a lot of hyperbole out there, there is a lot of emotion out there. We're trying to reduce this to the actual statistics and the actual percentages of increases, et cetera, that are being proposed, and looking at it purely from a factual standpoint. So I appreciate his work on that.
Commissioner?
Yeah, just out of some conversations that I've had with different individuals, let's get this resolution out there so the public can hear it and digest it, and also make some comments. But I just want people to realize that the messaging and their comments do count. Do reach out to your local representation, whether it be city, county, state representation, and just please back everything up with factual information. Like Commissioner Kirschner was saying, it does get emotional sometimes, or people do let their emotions get the best of them. Just please back everything up with factual information. Follow the steps, follow the processes, and just we're looking forward to getting input here, and just we are listening. So.
And there'll be, I think the public hearing's Wednesday, right? This Wednesday, Ben, you guys?
Yep, 6 o'clock, June 8th.
June 8th, there'll be a public hearing, and everyone's welcome. And so...
Is there only going to be one of these public hearings, or will there be multiple?
There's only one that, this is put on by Wind Waste Innovations, Sunny Farms Landfill, and then there'll be subsequent ones put on by the Ohio EPA.
Just a recommendation, I think it'd be helpful if we had those over in the Fostoria area, since they're greatly affected more over there as opposed to Tiffin. I was hearing some grumblings of the meeting being in Tiffin as opposed to Fostoria area.
Yeah, we needed to, since it's our meeting, we needed to secure the facility, not, it wasn't the Ohio EPA. So I actually did that for the company, and to accommodate the potential for a large amount of people, that made the most sense. I couldn't do like educational facilities because post-COVID, there's been a lot of trouble, and not trouble, but that's not been as easy as it once was.
You're a third party, so.
I was able, yeah, we're paying for, you know, I could call them and secure the facility, so that's why it's in Tiffin as opposed to Fostoria.
So I think for today, under old business, unless any of the commissioners want to add anything, we will, we want everyone to know that over the last couple of weeks, you were in here 2 weeks ago, this is kind of gaining, a lot of traction. It's right in our forefront. We want to jointly respond, and we may take action as early as next week. I think we're all okay with that if we have enough information to do so, right? Next week we could take action. We'll see how the comments come in. We will not have a meeting the following week, so we'll see how things go by next Thursday. Anything else? Jimmy, you're going to post.
Yeah, I'll post the
we're
draft
asking you for
to
any
see if we
comment.
can get some feedback from the public on it.
Yeah, we have a draft that's been circulated through, and we've all given Jimmy our comments, and we'd like to just not get into it now, but post it publicly, and then talk next week, right?
Yeah, just for those who are participating in this conversation at this point, knowing that it will be posted, if you do have any modifications or revisions or additions that you'd like to see, please understand that they need to be factual information. There can't be any drama or any emotion involved with it. It needs to be, this specific number or this specific date, and we'll certainly consider those. But I think the draft, again, is pretty professionally put together. Hopefully all the components are there that need to be there.
Okay. Hearing no other old business, we'll move into new business. Stacy.
Honestly, Mike Ditto did make a statement. He had one more thing he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey. I'm sorry. One thing I forgot to mention is on the capital budget, we always get questions about allocations and why certain things were funded and not. Just so everyone watching can understand the entire process, there were, between all of 132 legislators, there were about $1.5 billion worth of requests, and 1.3 billion of those requests were not funded. The total for this capital budget was $190 million. So I'm certainly grateful that Seneca got something, and there may be more later this year if federal money comes in for our projects, but wanted to let you know too that there was a tremendous more in the ask column than money was available, and I forgot to mention that earlier, so thanks for the time.
Well, Mike, is that normal? That seems high to me.
It is normal.
Okay.
There's a lot, especially the bigger cities, they request a significant amount of money for different projects. I know of a lot of projects in Montgomery and Cuyahoga County, Franklin and otherwise, that were not funded at all. So yeah, over $1 billion for sure, but closer to 1.5 in requests, and only 190 million were funded.
Stacy, back to you.
I don't have any, actually. Since we did the setting time and date, I don't have any supplementals. Anything for new business?
We're good. Are we ready for public comment? Is that where we're at in the process? Okay, so we'll open things up to public comment. What's customary is we ask those in the room live to speak first. Please come up, state your name, limit your comments to 3 minutes, and anybody that wants to come is available to come up. Head up. Try to have Adam say his name.
I'm Gilmore, Development Coordinator, Tiffin Seneca Economic Partnership. Just a couple quick updates for you. As Mike mentioned, the community kitchen received $300,000 from the state capital budget. TSEP, who was doing that application on behalf of the city and Old Trinity, would like to thank you for your support. Lou, as well, thank you for your support and your work on that. I know you and Marta did a lot of work at the last minute for us, and we do appreciate that. Again, third Thursday on June 16th, that is going to be the Heritage Ohio directors coming to town. they will be having their quarterly revitalization seminar. That seminar is open to the public, and for residents of Tiffin, it will be free. So if you are a Tiffin resident and would like to take part in that event, that free registration can be obtained by talking with Amy Reinhart in our office. And then finally, on Wednesday last week, I was able to meet with the Bloomville Development Group and kind of learn about some of their priorities for economic development over the next couple years, some of what they want to see happen in their community. Obviously, Bloomville is there's a lot there that can be worked with, and there's some business opportunities, I think, for them, and some economic opportunities for them. So we're going to be working on that more in the future, moving forward.
Very good. I would just add that tomorrow we will are having some interviews with some finalists for the TSIP executive. So it's coming down to two or three or four people, I think.
Yeah.
And two of those interviews will be tomorrow morning, and then I think two early next week. So that is making progress towards hiring somebody for that job.
Awesome. How did the meeting go with Sandusky County yesterday? As far as the clean house?
Yeah, that went well. Sandusky County is interested in I don't know if they plan to fully replicate the clearinghouse, but that has been a success for us here in Seneca County. So I was able to provide them with some pretty good information. They seem very interested in kind of the opportunity that presents for them.
Good. Yeah, we had some individuals from Sandusky County, some of their economic development people and chamber people came over to Tiffin and Seneca County yesterday, and we met with them on the business contest, and they went over to TSEP to talk about the clearinghouse. So
good.
Never hurts to share notes and help the region. So
pass on our thanks to the staff again for holding things together during this transitional period of time.
Hey, it's just a little bit of fun.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, that's great. Anybody else? Like to come up?
Hello, Nate Heiser, Fostoria. You guys did watch the Board of Health presentation, I'm assuming?
Yes.
That's right, you're probably not allowed to comment or have any thoughts on that right now.
I thought, there's no reason we can't have any comment on it. I thought it was interesting, the gentleman who made the presentation.
Seemed credible?
Yeah, and was indeed hired by the health department to come up with those answers. In fact, I called to see whether or not we could get him here. As I find out, he's from Virginia or some doggone place like that. And I assumed he might have been more local. So the thought was to try to get him in here to answer any questions, but that's unless he's coming up for a specific testing, he won't make a special trip here. So at some point during this process, he'll probably be in this room bringing us up to date, but not today. So I had a lengthy conversation with a couple of the health department board members and also with Angoon regarding it, and then listened to his video and bits and pieces, and then tried to listen to it all together. So yeah.
Great. Appreciate you guys doing that for me. Is there any way we could get those to the OSS, the other commissioners? The presentation?
There's no reason not to.
They had no idea yesterday's meeting that any of that had happened.
Yeah, so it was Murphy's Law with the scheduling. I think I might have mentioned that to you. 3 of us from the OSS board, 2 of us couldn't meet. They just couldn't meet. Yesterday, we tried to move the meeting. It takes a majority to move the meeting. All 3 Sandusky County commissioners could not meet next week. They had a commitment. So we went ahead with the meeting. But we will continue to talk to them and get back in front of them. So it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's part of the process. But
it'd be nice to get that back in Seneca County, especially if they're going to other places.
I will personally follow up and get that done.
Yeah, we've got to have a discussion with that group, Nate, because we always had it at 8 o'clock in the morning, always in Fremont, and that was how our schedules worked out. You know, as soon as you hit a glitch to that, all of a sudden it's at noon, and it's, an hour away.
It makes it tough.
If there's other things going on that you have pre-scheduled, there's some things you can't avoid.
2-hour round trip, I get it.
Yeah, it's not so much that. Yeah, it's not so much of that as it's an hour and a half or 2-hour meeting. That's 2-hour round trip, so you got 5 hours out of your day, and you've got a meeting scheduled at 2 and one at 11. You can't get there. So
I think it's fair. Policy committee's 21 people. We've had discussions there. So part of the discussion will also include having a meeting time and place where we could try to accommodate the majority of those people.
That would make sense.
It's a scheduling issue. It's hard. I mean, I feel for OSS too, in fairness to the process. It's a monthly meeting and we're on the committee. We need to try to be there. But the flip side, Commissioner Kirsch's point is the dates have been changed from where they used to be customarily, and we're going to try to.
Well, it's tough, you know. It's tough to have 3 guys make a decision, let alone 9.
It's just hard, you know. But we have to. Your point's well taken. You know, we need to get up to speed with solid waste and including that video.
That'd be nice if they would know that they deer in headlights when I was talking to them about it. So that would be good. Let's see. You made some comments today, which was about factual information and listening to the people. And I just wanted to say that 2 years ago, we came in here with tons of facts, tons of information, and it wasn't received very well. Tons of emails came through. Maybe it was a little overwhelming with information because it is kind of hard to understand a lot of the stuff that's going on because none of us are experts. But one thing that struck out to me, and I'll never forget, is one of the commissioners said that all the information that I said a number of things, and it was all way above his pay grade. And I just want to remind them that just because it's above your pay grade doesn't mean we were wrong. And there should be some due diligence to kind of see if we are right. And you got what you said earlier was right. You've got one side, you got somebody else saying the other. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. But where's the due diligence to find the middle? I mean, you can't just say, you know, well, he's way off because he's emotional. Well, he's way off because, you know, they're part of the company. Well, who's going to do the work to find the middle? You know, I mean, that's what this kind of environmentalists did with the Board of Health, which I'm glad they did. We were begging for that for 2 years. And the findings were pretty bad, in my opinion, and those are some of the things that we said a year or 2 ago. And continuing down this path with an expansion, I just don't see anything getting any better.
Well, let me just add one thing, because this was one of your requests, and I want to make sure you know where we're at. The big confusion was, you know, where is the Board of Health, where are the commissioners, where is state rep, where is the state senator, where's the Ohio EPA? Everybody had some different twist of what the truth was. So we are in the process of setting up a meeting with the highest official we can find in the Ohio EPA, not Bowling Green, somebody out of Columbus, with Senator Reineke, with Representative Click, with the Health Department, to have everybody in one room. Understand exactly what everybody's stance is or what their position is or where are they at from a testing standpoint, et cetera, so that there is no confusion as to the positions that people have taken. We're not understanding exactly where the Ohio EPA is, and I think that the state elected officials are a little frustrated with what's going on here and at a Ohio EPA level. So this was your suggestion. Just to let you know, we followed up, and we are going to try to get all those people that have any authority from an elected standpoint in the room to make certain that we all understand what the issues are.
That's great. That's a great first step.
Yeah, and I would just say, you know, and I'll let Commissioner Shuff, you know, you don't know what you don't know, right? So as a commissioner, we always say our job is to get informed, and that's what we're trying to do. Not that we'll ever be a PhD scientist, but the process, to Commissioner Kirschner's point, you know, the role of the Health Department, the role of Solid Waste District, the role of commissioners, the facts, the role of business and their EPA and all that. We're trying to really understand that, and then I think we can move forward. So we are doing that, and I echo what the Commissioner said.
And you're right, it's very difficult, and I spent a good year or so going to every township meeting. I met with the guy in charge at the EPA office several times, I met with solid waste several times besides the regular meetings, just to try to understand, because I didn't understand. But then once I started to learn a little bit more and understand kind of what's going on, I realized actually how unfair this was for the residents of the county. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I just would like to say one last thing, that that meeting that they had yesterday above the bar was a terrible spot. No reception. People couldn't hear on the computer, as you probably heard or seen. And I know you're trying to get that back, so that's great. That's just not a very conducive environment for exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's not pleasant trying to participate in the meeting when you can't hear and when things are just.
I understand.
There, yeah.
We couldn't hear anything at all.
I know,
Yeah,
and
we'll
people wanted to make
definitely
comments.
work on that.
We had people wanted to make comments, public comments on virtual, and they couldn't. And I know that was frustrating, and to say the least, it should be back at the solid waste office, or a different venue here in Seneca County in Tiffin if they're gonna have it at a bar. You know what I mean? There's no reason they couldn't have it here in Tiffin. There's lots of nice places here. So
I think they did at the.
We've moved around, we've had meetings in
have you?
Fostoria, and we had a meeting in Tiffin.
Okay.
And so I think that's a good thing, to get the other 6 commissioners here and for us to go there. But you're right, you meant the venue, the technology, they are public meetings. We have to get that better, no question about it.
I appreciate you guys not disregarding me this time. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody else? Good? Okay, Jimmy, public comment?
Yep, I didn't see anything in the chat, but if you do want to make a comment and you're online, go ahead and come forward now. I think we're good.
Okay, hearing no other comment, meeting's adjourned. See you next Thursday.